Hello humans, it's just Martine, and this week I'm going to do a no holds barred, all inclusive, all informative week of reading in my life. I film weekly reading vlogs fairly often, but there's always something that holds me back a little in them because I make a lot of secret videos. Every other month, I make an episode of Kindle Clear Out, so I don't tell my regular vlogs what I'm reading for that. And then every other month, I do TBR Crime, and I don't tell my regular reading vlogs what I'm reading for that. And then at the end of the year, I have 12 secret TBRs that I produce every year. And so I'm reading those books all year long. So even when I'm sharing with you a week of reading, I'm not sharing with you a week of reading. You know, there are just so many secrets. And I thought it would be a really fun idea to make this vlog just a regular weekly reading vlog, but where I get to tell you all of the details. I'll obviously have to wait a really long time to post this video since it will be after the 12 TBRs, but I'm excited to chat about literally all the things that I'm doing right now and all the things that I am reading. I guess our first step is to catch you up because it's Monday and I've already read for like an hour and 45 minutes because I took the shuttle between campuses, and so I was on a bus for a long time. And I read 10 minutes. I was about to say of a 12 TBRs book, but I can tell you. So I read 10 minutes of Moby Dick because I'm like 2/3 of the way through that-ish, right around there, and just trying to make progress every day, to be honest with you. So I read 10 minutes of that, and then I spent the rest of my time on the bus reading a short story by Robin Hobb. It was The Homecoming, I think it was called. It was the story about how the Rainwild traders ended up there, basically. And I'm reading that for a read along with some of my closest friends. We're reading through all of the Realm of the Elderlings things, and kind of in between the big books, we're reading the short ones that we have access to. I think this collection is the only one that I really have access to, but that's fine. It has 3 short stories for the Realm of the Elderlings. It also has a bunch of other short stories by Robin Hobb's other pen name, and I read those already. They were great, and much shorter than this, proving that that author can write succinctly, just not for Realm of the Elderlings, because that short story was well over an hour of reading, which was a bit bonkers. But that's the reading that I've done so far today. And I guess the next step is to talk about my hopes and dreams for the week, which brings me to the reading board that I keep in my closet. And usually you can't get really close to it because it's got secret information on it, but you get access to secret information. Isn't that fun? It still is kind of hard to hold the camera and my microphone at the same time though. So I'll at least give you an overview from here. Right up here, I have my library currently reading and library TBR. It's inaccurate right now. I haven't looked at it in a while. Oops. I'm definitely reading some library books right now. I started one last night. It's not up here. Maybe I'll fix that. Maybe I won't. Doesn't really matter. I usually use this if I'm getting really overwhelmed with how many library books I have out at any given moment, but I only have 3 checked out right now. Nope, that's not true. I have 3 trapped in my Kindle right now, which isn't so bad. It's been worse. So that's this section. This second quadrant is for TBR Crime. So what I'm currently reading for TBR Crime and my TBR for TBR Crime, the current episode, there's nothing up here because I posted my last episode yesterday and I have not done the rolls for the next one, so I have no idea. Part of me is I should definitely roll just to figure out the lay of the land at some point this week, especially since Chaostober is coming up, and my goal for that is really just to read 12 TBR's books, so I'm trying to avoid having other obligations during that time, right? But also part of me is that is not where my focus needs to be right now, and I do have a tendency to do way too much all at the same time. I'm gonna hold off on that, at least today. The bottom left quadrant is for Kindle Clear Out, what I'm currently reading. I'm currently reading a Jerry Howard book, and then my TBR. There are 4 other books listed here. The premise for this episode is that I'm reading the first book in a bind-up, and if I don't give it more than 3.5 stars, I am deleting the rest of the bind-up without reading it. So I actually started this Jerry Howard book last night. And then this quadrant is because, as I mentioned before, I do too many things all at once, and so I wanted to know what I was actually reading for at any given moment so that I could make sure I wasn't neglecting something. So I've created this list right here of things I could be reading for. I'll read them to you. A read until I hit a 5 star. That's one of my 12 TBRs projects, but it feels separate from the other 12 TBRs projects. Then I have Kindle Clear Out. I already mentioned I'm reading a Jerry Howard book for that right now. Oh, for read until 5 stars, I'm reading Rules Between Roommates. I already know it's not going to be a 5-star, but I did start it last night, so that's where we are. Then I have 12 TBRs. For that, I've upped it to reading 2 at once because it's that time of year. It's August, by the way, late August. I don't think I said that. So right now I'm currently reading Moby Dick. That has taken all month and I'm not done. And then The Nightingale, which this is for my What Color Reader Are You quiz video. So I started that one last night. All 3 of these I started last night because I went on a spree of starting books. Then I have TBR Crime. Again, nothing for that right now because I have no idea what I'm doing for that right now. Then Obligations. So these are things like read-alongs, buddy reads, or book clubs. For right now, I'm reading Inheritance and Other Stories, that Robin Hobb collection that I mentioned to you a few minutes ago. Then I have a mood read section right here. This better stay empty, okay? My moods can fit some of the other things that I have to read right now. There's stuff in every genre that I need to be reading for other things, so this should stay empty. Should stay empty. Then I have one for doesn't fit. This should also stay empty. No reason for that. And then one that says Big 12 TBR Winky Face. That's for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do. One of my 12 TBR videos this year for some reason. And I'm not actually reading The Lord of Stariel yet. I added it to this list as part of my spree last night, but I was too tired to start a fantasy book, so I haven't. But that will be the next book that I start. That's the lay of the land right now. These books that are listed right here should be my top priorities for this week, along with 2 Junie B. Jones books. Need to be reading those. But also everything else all at once, because that's my toxic reading trait. Part of me is like, I'm going to read all these Kindle Clear Out books this week. No, I'm not. But delusion is part of creativity. It's an important part of creativity. If I realized realistically that I couldn't do this, then I'd lay down and give up. But while there is a speck of hope, I continue. And that's how all of my crazy videos happen every year. Just a bunch of delusion that I do put action and effort towards, but nevertheless, some of my best ideas have to be some of my craziest. So unfortunately, delusion gets me through sometimes. And we are in a season of that right now because it's late August. I think it's the 25th today, and I have so many books left for everything. So this week, we're going to read as many of them as we can, and I get to tell you all about it. I'm honestly so excited because I never get to do that. So, hooray! Happy Tuesday. It's the afternoon. I have not read a single page yet today, but I did some more reading yesterday, so I figured I'd come update you on all of that. I read a little bit of everything. I mean, literally, all the books that I'm in the middle of, I read a little of, and so I have no substantial progress anywhere to tell you about, which is fine. So I guess I'll just run down how I did, my thoughts and feelings. I read for 3.5 hours yesterday, so that's great. I'm more than pleased with that. I had told you about my reading of The Inheritance and Other Stories, and I told you about my 10 minutes of Moby Dick. Well, I did read another 10 minutes of that, which is a victory for me. Any day when I can get 20 minutes instead of 10 minutes of that done is a win. I kind of had in the back of my mind a goal for the day where I wanted to read at least 30 minutes of regular 12 TBRs and then 30 minutes of other 12 TBRs. So by that I mean 30 minutes of one of the 33 books that I have left for regular 12 TBRs videos, and then 30 minutes where I'm working on either Herkyed or reading until I find a 5-star. That's why I read an extra 10 minutes in Moby Dick, and that left me with 10 minutes left to reach my 30 minutes. So I read 10 minutes of The Nightingale. For my 30 minutes of the other stuff, I had started The Lord of Stariel for Herkyed, for one of my Spiffbo books, my first one. And then, what else did I read? Right, I read some of Rules Between Roommates, which I'm reading for my Read Until I Find a 5-star book. And the thing that's really unfortunate about that, if I haven't expressed it already, is that I know it's not going to be a 5-star. As soon as I started reading it, I identified that about it, and unfortunately, here we are, and it's part of the video now, and it is what it is. I think I'm less than 20% of the way into that, and it's actively bad, and I'm not sure that it's seen an editor in its life as a book. For 2 reasons, well, for 3 reasons. 1, because it's bad. 2, because they said something was rhetoric in my reading yesterday, and they meant rhetorical. So, oops. And then also, one time it was supposed to say Wi-Fi, but it just said wife, like W-I-F. No I at the end of it. So this could have used another set of eyes. If it was edited by an editor, then the author needs a refund. That's my take on that. Between that and The Lord of Stariel, I made 30 minutes of progress in other 12 TBR's books. And then I did start the next Junie B. Jones book that I have to read. I've really been dreading it, so I only read half of it, which is crazy. Technically 49%. That's Aloha. It's the third to last one, because I have 2 to read before the live show, and then we're reading the very last one on the live show. I made progress on my Kindle Clear-Out book that Jerry, what's her name, won. I'm at 25% of that. It's pretty short. It's under 300 pages. And incredible news about that, as I was sitting there reading it last night, I realized that it would count for Herkyed also, because the name of the actual book is Kindred Spirits, and I still need one more K to spell my full name. So there it is. I didn't have another book lined up for it. It will be Kindred Spirits. So I'm stoked about that. I think that's all the books that I'm reading, right? And today the goals, I have a busy day. So it's really just to read as much as I can and want to while I am busy today. If I could finish that Junie B. Jones book, that would obviously be a victory. 10 minutes of Moby Dick minimum, but I would love to get to 30 minutes of a 12 TBR's book. And then any progress that I can make on other 12 TBR's books would be good. I hate that I have the 2 categories for this. I've never had it before for 12 TBRs, but this is where we are. Because if I just focus on Herkyed and read until I find a 5-star, then I'll still have over 30 books left over here that need to be read. So I need to be doing both of them. And I feel like if I only focus on these, then I'm not truly trying to do the read until I find a 5-star challenge properly, because I will have started it in August, but not actually be reading for it continuously. So that's the plan. Just do what I can today, and I'm sure tomorrow's update will be a lot more sparse. Happy Wednesday. Things have been kind of crazy because Tuesday, I feel like, is a really busy day for me, and then today I teach. So that's also busy. So like yesterday I had an appointment, I had choir, the world is ending outside, I did work, all of those things, and then Shelf This was last night. So instead of coming back from choir and reading before I fell asleep, I came back and had the Shelf This live show and then talked to Bailey and then fell asleep. So I did not read as much yesterday as I had on Monday, but then today I'm off to a good start because I was on the bus for 2 hours. So I've read for almost 2 hours. I did take a brief nap. I had to close my eyes at one point. That's how the cookie crumbles. But I'll let you know where I am. So yesterday I didn't read any of Inheritance and Other Stories, but today I read one of the stories. It was only 20 minutes. Shout out. So did that. So I only have one story left in that. It is an hour and a half long, but I do only have one story left in that. So that's something. I'm currently at 69% of Moby Dick, which is exciting, almost at the 70% mark. And then after that, there will only be 5% more to 75%, and then I'll be 3/4 of the way there. So exciting stuff. Rules Between Roommates, my 5-star video book, 25% of that. It's still bad, but it's going. The Nightingale, I'm at 16% of that, so making steady progress. Lord of Stariel, I'm at 13%. I think that's the only one that I didn't read at all yesterday. And then my Jerry Howard book, the one that will count for the K in Herkyed, and also is my first Kindle Clear-Out book for this episode. I'm at 50% of that. So exciting. I should definitely finish that this week. I'd love to finish all these books this week, but again, I thrive on delusion about my reading plans. I'm going to take a bit of a reading break for a while now that I'm here, get myself decompressed from teaching. I kind of want to go on a run at some point. And then aside from a 1-hour call with a friend later tonight, I don't really have anything else that I need to do. So reading, I will be doing that. And I already did 30 minutes of regular 12 TBRs and 30 minutes of weird 12 TBRs reading today. So I can kind of read whatever I fancy out of all of these books that are in progress. It looks like I'm not making progress because I'm inching along in every book, but hopefully by the end of this week, I'll just be finishing books, you know? I kind of doubt that, but that's the hope. That is always the vision. Okay, it's Wednesday night, and I surprisingly have updates. One, I don't know if I mentioned at any point that yesterday on Tuesday, I did finish Junie B. Jones' first grader Aloha. Aloha, haha. Yeah, Junie B. Jones, first grader Junie B, first grader, aloha, ha ha. And I gave it 3 stars. I finished that while I was waiting for my therapy appointment. And then just now, today, I finished The Inheritance and Other Stories by Robin Hobb because I had that one story left, like I told you. And I was like, if I only have an hour and a half left of it, I could finish it tonight and just have a book done. And that was really tempting, so I went for it. I gave the whole collection 4 stars. It was overall good. There were some good stories, some just fine stories, but I had a pretty good time reading them. It was nice to read something shorter from Robin Hobb. Now I'm doing the absolutely crazy thing of reloading my Kindle because I had several holds come in for 12 TBRs and I've been putting them off, and I wanted to accept them all at once for some reason, which is bonkers of me. And then I also was like, well, I need my next obligation read. And so I checked out Dragon Keeper by Robin Hobb, even though I do have Twilight locked and loaded, ready to go on my Kindle. So we'll have to see which of those two I start first. If you're curious which of my 12 TBRs books I downloaded, so I downloaded The Dragon Keeper, not for 12 TBRs, and then I'm downloading The Alchemist and The Da Vinci Code. So 2 of the books for the same video, actually the same video that I'm reading Moby Dick for. So I have all 3 of those checked out at once, which is interesting. And then I'm checking out The Collective, which is for Herkyed, the blurb prompt. I need to focus on clicking download instead of mark as read. And that's it. Those are the 3 12 TBRs books. But for the past week, I've been delaying those. And I, for some reason, decided to get them all at once, which is probably a bad idea. But here we are. So did that. Finished Inheritance and Other Stories, which means I can update my post-it note board, and I need to update my spreadsheet. Not my favorite thing to do, but it has to be done. I don't want to get behind right now on updating my spreadsheet. That's going to be a goal for the rest of the night. It's not going to take the rest of the night. I have to update the Junie B one and the Inheritance and Other Stories, but I do have to do that. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Let's talk about my hopes and dreams for the day, shall we? So I've obviously got work to do. But aside from that, my biggest reading hope today is to finish Kindred Crimes, which I think I've been calling that the wrong name in this vlog. But the Jerry Howard book, that one, so that I have 1 book done for Kindle Clear Out, and also I'll have another book down for Herkyed, which will feel good. I think that's a perfectly reasonable goal because I have an hour and a half of that left. So I should be able to finish that, get my 10 minutes of Moby Dick in, and 20 minutes of other big 12 TBRs, whether I'm still reading Moby Dick or I switch to The Nightingale. Either one, I should be making progress in that today, because really the only things I have a meeting at 11, and then I might try to get some work done this afternoon, but we'll kind of see. I've actually been crushing my to-do list this week, and so as a first week back fall semester treat, I might be like, let's not burn ourselves out week 1. And I also already did some dissertation work this morning, so it's not like I haven't already made progress today. And then tonight I do have Zumba, so that will cut into my reading time some. And I've decided I'm not going to start another book until I finish, well, at least this Jerry Howard book, but hopefully another book also, or that. I just want to see how many books I can finish this weekend. It's going to be crazy because some of these books I feel like I have a long time left in them. But like I got to 20% of The Lord of Stariel. I think it's just like my actual 12 TBRs books that are going to be hard. Like, I'm not going to finish Moby Dick this week. I have 4.5 hours left of it. And I really, I'm going to read more than 4.5 hours for the rest of the week, but I don't want it to be of that. You know what I mean? And then I have a lot of The Nightingale left, but I just don't think that I'm going to finish that this week, and that's fine. We'll see how well I execute this plan. Happy Friday. I am here with some reading updates, some plan updates, all of the things. I've got a lot in front of me right now to go through, so let me talk first about the books that I finished, and then I'll talk about some of the decisions that I've made in the past 24 hours that are going to impact how my reading goes this weekend. First off, yesterday afternoon, I finished reading Kindred Crimes, which is that Jerry Howard book, the first one for my Kindle Clear Out episode. I have not filmed the review for that yet, and I honestly probably will not today because I'm going to prioritize some other filming, and I still haven't read a single page yet today, so I want to get around to that. But I did finish that book, which is good. It's another off my list. We're cooking. And then today, while I was walking to the grocery store, I finished listening to the audiobook for XOXO, by Axio, which is the second to last book that I need for the full A to Z alphabet for Herkyed. I just need Q after this. I don't know why I haven't managed to get a Q yet, but I haven't. This was the second to last one, and I've been listening to it on audiobook before falling asleep for the past 17 nights. I finally got to the point where I had an hour left. I had a 3-mile walk in front of me, and I said, I'm just gonna listen to this while I walk. It was also due in a couple days, so I was like, might as well finish it while I have nothing to do. I'm going to end up giving that 3.5 stars. I really, really liked the characters, and the ending made me happy, but it was just, the plot was meh. And also, I don't come from a world of K-pop. There were parts that didn't mean anything to me, because in this one we're following a girl on this random day, meets this dude, they kind of have a vibe going, and then it turns out he's a K-pop star, and he disappears, and then she moves to Korea to be with her grandma because her grandma's not doing well. It's her first time being over to Korea. She's there for a semester. He goes to the same performing arts school that she does. She's a cellist, and things kind of go from there. So it was just kind of I don't know. It was whatever. I really liked the characters, but the plot was only so-so. So I finished that off today, which is good, and I just entered that into my spreadsheet. Let's talk about the plans for the rest of the day and the weekend. So yesterday I sat down, I made a list of my plans for September reading. It looks like this. It's a lot of books. There are blank spots for things that I haven't decided on yet. I know I want to read about 8 Herkyed books, but I only know for sure 5 of them that I want to read this month. Those blank spots are based on how Libby holds go and all those things. Same for 12 TBR's books. I have my Kindle Clear Out books, my obligation books book clubs, then Herkyed, other 12 TBR's books, and then I have a blank spot for TBR Crime. I have no idea what I'm going to need to read for this episode of TBR Crime, so my task right after I update you is going to be to film the gameplay for this next round of TBR Crime so that I can start figuring out what I need to read amongst everything else that I need to read in the next couple months. I'm really hoping to pull from some Herkyed reads that I need to get to. I've been waffling the past few days about should I start a book, should I not, as I was checking things off my list, and I kind of wanted to because I feel that's organically how my weeks usually go, and I wanted to show you regular reading week in my life. But something was holding me back, and that something came to fruition yesterday when, over on Bookish Reality, some of us agreed that we're going to do the Start a Book a Day challenge for the month of September. So obviously you want to go into a month where you're doing that challenge with as few current reads as you possibly can. I'm currently reading The Nightingale, Moby Dick, The Lord of Stariel, and Rules Between Roommates, and I'm really hoping that if I can't finish all of them this weekend, that I can at least only have a little bit of Moby Dick left. But I would love to finish all of them. So that's the plan. Instead of starting a new book and not finishing some of these and rolling them over into next week, I'm going to be really focusing on finishing them. So we'll see about that. And that's obviously changing my reading, but that's the case. Sometimes random challenges, especially random video challenges, interrupt the way that I'm reading and kind of adjust my course along the way. So I am going to make a vlog out of it. If I'm doing a crazy challenge like that, I might as well vlog it. That's yet another vlog messing with my organization of reading. So I'm going to go film the gameplay for TBR Crime and then get to reading, and we'll see what we can do. And this weekend in general will just be an interesting time. This is how I feel after that round of TBR Crime. It did literally the worst possible thing to do to me as a person who has so many books they need to read in the next few months. I'm gonna lose my mind. It's okay, it's okay. It's a game, it's all for fun, but I do need to go look at the prompts because I was so focused on how many books I had to read that I didn't really think about the prompts. I actually think a lot of them won't work for Herkyed books, so that's great. Just out here having the best time. What happened, if you haven't seen that episode, is that I got a broken copier. Every one of my prompts that I have in TBR Crime, I have that prompt 3 times. But each one is worth a different number of cool points, and it has a different actual prompt associated with it. So for example, this one, access phone records, I have 3 cards that say access phone records, but one is a +1 card that says sci-fi. One's, is it a +2? And it has another prompt, and one's a +3. Anyway, it goes up. And the broken copier prompt, there's an easy one, which I thought is what I had pulled originally, which was do the last prompt again, or do the next prompt again. Instead it was do every prompt after this twice, and I got 7 more prompts after that. So, and this is my fault too. I feel that deeply in my bones because I was like, I've put some really evil drudgery prompts in that have never come up before. Like TBR crime so far this year has been tame, and the moment that I need it to be chill, she can't help it. She can't do it. Let me go look at those prompts. So after I took a moment to have a little bitty freak out, it's just books, it's just reading, everything's fine, I reevaluated the situation to figure out what needs to happen so that I don't get a cold case, but don't mess up my chances of finishing everything that I need to finish for 12 TBRs. Of course, the biggest advantage there is that my Herkiad books can be read for both. My other 12 TBRs books, unfortunately, cannot be used for TBR crime, but c'est la vie. And I can also find ways to fit in books that I'm already reading for like buddy reads and read-alongs in this. So I took a piece of paper because there were a lot of prompts. I made a plan for my 16 books. The only thing I don't know yet is one of my friend picks, because I messaged Ruby and she is busy right now, so she hasn't responded. But Danielle got the other friend pick, and we have sorted that out. And out of these 16 books, I only have to read 5 of them that I wasn't already planning on reading in the next few months. So that's something. Basically, that means I got either Herkiad or obligation reads on there. So that's great, and I'm feeling a little better than I did, but it's just yet another reminder of how much reading I want to get done in the next few months. And so now that it's 2:40, I really do need to get reading. And I cannot think about all the books that I need to start still this year because I need to focus on the books that I need to finish this weekend. We're going to start with a 10-minute sprint for Moby Dick, and I'm just going to go from there. And we're going to keep reading as much as we can today. Happy Saturday. I am here this afternoon to deliver the frankly astonishing news that today I managed to finish reading Moby Dick. Don't know how I managed to get here, but here we got. I mean, last night I was doing rotation sprints where I was doing like 10 minutes of Moby Dick, 10 minutes of another book, and I was rotating through my 3 other books. So I'd do like Moby Dick book 1, Moby Dick book 2, Moby Dick book 3. Today, I alternated editing my Sunday video for a few minutes with reading the book, and then I switched back to alternating books after I finished editing. I managed to get through the last few hours of the book between yesterday and today. I'm super excited about that, not only because it's done, but because it's done on Saturday, so I don't have to read it tomorrow or ever again. I do have 4 other books that I want done before August. Rules Between Roommates, I'm almost halfway through. Lord of Stariel, I'm about 40% of the way through. The Nightingale, I think I'm a little less than 40% of the way through. And then I do have one Junie B. Jones book that I want to read, but that's obviously like a 20-minute problem for me, not anything huge. So we do still have a lot of reading to do, but it does help that none of it is Moby Dick now. Go me. Happy Sunday. I did some more reading after I'd finished Moby Dick yesterday, but like not as much as I could have, and that's okay, whatever. I at least got all of my currently reading books to past 50%. And then last night I also read Junie B. First Grader Dumb Bunny because I still needed to read that for the Junie B. Jones read along, and I didn't want to bring it into September. Today, I've been working through my 3 reads, The Nightingale, Lord of Stariel, and Rules Between Roommates, and I just now, at 10:40 a.m.-ish, finished reading Rules Between Roommates, which was a rollicking good time. I just have The Nightingale and Lord of Stariel left, which is a little hard to think about making as much progress as possible in those today, if not finishing them, because Rules Between Roommates was the only thing keeping me happy, because The Nightingale is so good, but it is so sad. Like, it was before 9 a.m. and I had tears in my eyes this morning and I was like, I don't know that I can do this. And so I think the contrast between that and Rules Between Roommates was making Rules Between Roommates like extra fun and giddy inducing. And then Lord of Stariel is just kind of whatever. It's like, it's fine, but it's not, I don't care that much. And I just want it to be done so that I can use that space on KU for one of my first September books, because I've checked out the complete, like the total number of books that you can check out on KU at a single time. I've checked them out. I've gotten to like 66%, I want to say, of The Nightingale. It's really sad. It's really good, but it is really sad and heavy to sit with. And so I'm a bit worried about binge reading the rest of that one. And then Lord of Stariel, I frankly don't even remember where I am. Where's my Kindle? Lord of Stariel, I'm at 57%, but I think I still have more time left in The Nightingale than I do in Lord of Stariel. So anyway, I'll just be alternating between those when I can today and see what I can do. It really just depends whether I can finish both of them. I don't know. I do believe in myself, but also being realistic, there's a chance that I won't, and I just have to be prepared for that. My Kindle does need a charge up at some point going into September. It's going to be a big month for her, and she's at 25% right now, 25%. So I'd like to charge her up, but I can't do that while I'm reading. So reading does take precedence to that today. I need to film the review for Moby Dick. I just filmed the review for Rules Between Roommates, but after that, I will get back to reading until my family call this afternoon. And then the day will honestly shake out however it will, because some things are still up in the air about my schedule. So I'll just do what I can when I can. It is the start of a new week, which means it is the end of this vlog. Updates on last night. I did manage to finish all of my outstanding reads. So I finished The Nightingale. It made me cry some more. And then I did finish The Lord of Stariel, although I did not finish that until right before I went to sleep, which is why I did not update you. I was literally in bed in the dark reading, keeping my eyes open like this, whole 9 yards. But I did manage to finish both of those books. So I'm super pleased about that. Overall, I feel like this week was a reading success. I finished 8 books. 2 of those were Junie B. Jones books, and the other 6 were regular, longer books, some of which I'd been working on for a long time, like Moby Dick, and some of which I only read last week. I managed to read for multiple 12 TBRs videos, for multiple obligation reads. I read Inheritance and Other Stories for my Robin Hobb read-along with my friends, and I read the Junie B. Jones books for the Junie B. Jones read-along, and I also managed to read 1 Kindle Clear-Out book. So that's what a pretty typical week of reading in my life looks like. 26 hours of reading, a bunch of stuff for a bunch of different reasons down the hatch. All good fun. So if you like this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below. Is there anything that you found new or interesting from this reading vlog that you maybe didn't realize from my other less tell all my secrets reading vlogs that I typically do? Or what was a great book that you've read recently? And subscribe for more bookish and college lifestyle content. And until next time, bye humans, bye!